Okay, so here's my dirt helmets. On the left is the Bell MX9 Adventure. The middle is the 6D ATR1. And on the right is the Shoei Hornet X2. And hey, here's my bikes. Only two of them have nicknames. The DRZ 400S on the left there. We'll call that Bone Breaker. And that's the one featured in my video where I smash my collarbone and squirm on the ground and cuss and cry like a little girl. In the middle is the CRF 250L. I call that one Fatsuka. It's a Russian word if you don't know what it means. A little YouTube or Google search, you'll find out. The DR 650, it's my camping bike mainly. And then over there, getting put back together, is the Kawasaki KLX 140G. It's basically a Kawasaki 140L, but this year in the States they released it with a full-size 21-inch front, 18-inch rear, 1357 gearing. So it's a little torque monster, and it's just a riot. It's 218 pounds, just a lot of fun, and a great bike to practice stuff on. Alright, so I'll just go over a little bit about each one, what I like or don't like about it. So the first one here is the Bell MX9 Adventure. It's basically the Bell MX9 dirt helmet with a visor. So I use this for cold weather riding for the trails, and I also started using it on dual sport rides for street and dirt. It's basically a dirt helmet that happens to have a visor, which is going to be different than the Shoei Hornet, which is basically a street helmet that happens to have a peak on it. You can take this visor completely off by unscrewing the peak, and you can pull that off. I've been running it with the tinted visor and then clear goggles underneath. These are some Scott Hustle goggles. Now, unlike an adventure helmet, as people would normally think of them, the only vent you could close is the chin vent on it. That's a little switch right there. The brow vents and the exit vents on the back, etc., they don't close. So that's why I say it's really a dirt helmet that they added a visor to. Now, this particular model is the MIPS version. So it's DOT EC rated, and it has the MIPS liner inside, which you're not really going to be able to see, but there's an orange slip liner in between the padding and the EPS foam liner. And they used this in like mountain bike helmets initially. And what happens in a low speed impact or an angular impact to the helmet is the slip liner allows the helmet to move around your head and decelerate, and your head to decelerate slower to lessen the chance of concussion occurring. This was pretty inexpensive, and it's very light. It's really light compared to the Hornet. I don't really wear the Hornet anymore because it just doesn't suit what I do. Again, primarily for me, this is cold weather helmet, and I've had this out in 25-degree Fahrenheit weather. I do have also a clear shield and also a double pane shield, because this is also apparently a fairly popular helmet for snowmobile riders as well. But I found it works great. It's very light. The liner is comfortable. It works good with the goggles. The inside of the chin bar is padded as well. If I had any complaint about it, it would be I would like the chin bar to come out a little bit more. But that's really about it. I think it's a great helmet, and with the road ratings of the DOT and ECE, I mean, it's honestly just as safe as any other helmet for road use. But with the MIPS liner for dirt use, it makes it a lot safer than just a standard helmet with the foam liner. Okay, my next one, we'll look at the Shoei Hornet. This was my first adventure helmet. It's the Shoei Hornet X2, whatever graphics package that was. It was really expensive. It's a really nice helmet from a build quality standpoint, But if you look at it, like if you look at the way the liner is, and here's an optional chin curtain, the liner is very much like a street helmet. So there's a lot of cushy liner in there. It does make it nice from that standpoint to wear for a long period of time. I've also tried on the Shoei XD4 helmet. It's very similar. The problem with this helmet is it's really friggin' heavy. I mean, really heavy compared to a dirt helmet. It is Snell approved and it's DOT approved. It does not say that it is ECE approved. And from what I've been learning about helmets, when you get a helmet that's Snell approved, it's going to be thicker in certain spots and wind up being a heavier helmet. This one I have crashed in, and see it's all scuffed up here on this side. Went through the bars and went down the side of the dirt road on my left side, hid and everything. The liner on this, as expensive and nice as this helmet is just a standard EPS dual density foam liner. There's no special protection or anything. And I wound up actually getting a concussion wearing this helmet, and that kind of sucked. But other than that, features wise, as far as venting, here's a chin vent here. You can see it's very small compared to a dirt helmet. There's two tiny little vents up here on the brow, and then there's a couple exit vents up here and around the rear. But compared to a dirt helmet, this is really hot, especially when you're moving around off-road or doing anything. It's just, I think it's basically a street helmet that visually just looks like a dirt helmet and is kind of masquerading as that. So I don't wear it anymore. Next is the 6D ATR1. This is also really expensive, but it has a lot of features that make it worth it. I think this is probably the safest helmet, whether dirt or street, that you can get right now. It's DOT certified, you know, in terms of passing the street test and impact resistance and puncture resistance, all that kind of great stuff. But the big thing about this helmet, number one, is you can see the chin bar comes away a lot further, which I like, you know, compared to the other two. The entire inside of the chin bar is again foam lined, which is a safety feature. Not all helmets are going to have that. There are no closable vents, but you can see all the silver mesh area is all venting all through there. You've got these brow ridge vents that move a lot of air. There's air channels inside of it. You've got exhaust vents up top and big exhaust vents back here. It moves a ton of air. The only other helmet I've seen that moves more in person would be the Liat GPX 5.5 helmet, which is very similar in some of its design and safety features. The other thing is this is a very light helmet as well, noticeably different from the Shoei. We'll notice a few things on the inside here. It's got a Cool Max liner, which is great in the heat. They also sell like another liner type for really high heat use. I don't have that, I just have the regular liner that came with it. I did swap out the cheek pads to mediums. In my Shoei, this one and the Bell, all the helmets are size large, but I found putting the medium cheek pads in this made this one fit better. One of the things with the 6D is the shell sizes. There's a number of shell sizes, so if you get the medium or the large helmet, you can actually turn it into a medium or a large or mix and match by changing the liner in the cheek pads. So it's the same shell, and whether it's a medium or large depends on what pieces you put inside there. This has two EPS liners inside of it, and the liners are separated by gel type shock absorbers. So when you hit in this helmet, the inner liner that's resting against your head is separated by all these little shock absorbers from the outer liner, and it allows your little shock absorbers and the dual EPS liner kind of floats, absorbs the impact energy, and the objective is to reduce concussion level forces. Now, as you can see, I had another crash very similar to the one I had in the Shoei helmet on this, maybe even worse, because it really ate into the side of the helmet here. Didn't feel anything and didn't get a concussion or anything. Now, every crash is different. It could be potluck from one crash to the next. But you know, these crashes were very similar in speed and what my body did, and more importantly, my head sliding along the dirt road. So I felt, well, that was as pretty close as I want to come to a scientific test. I have also talked to the guys at 6D and told them about my other helmet I was using at the time, the Shoei, and they shared with me independent lab results of the level of force from an impact wearing the Shoei versus the 6D to the brain as far as concussion level thresholds. And it was quite a significant difference. It's better than the MIPS. It's better than anything out there that I've been able to find. I would say the Liat GPX with their turbine technology, which is very similar concept, except for the little shock absorber things rest right against your head. I would say that would be the next closest helmet as far as safety goes. I like this one a lot. It is expensive, but you can find like last year's colors on closeout, and they're usually a couple $100 cheaper than the current year's models as far as colorways go. The eye port is really huge. These are Dragon NFX goggles, which is a very large size goggle. They fit in here great. So most times I'll wear this helmet as my first pick, and if it's really cold out or I'm going to be doing street and dirt, then I like the combination of the bell with the tinted visor and the clear goggles, because I could just flip up the visor as soon as I hit the dirt and then flip it down again when I'm back on the highway. So that's worked out really well, and this one has been crash proven by me. I would definitely buy this again. I don't regret spending the money on it. I don't regret spending the money on the bell. I kind of regret spending the money on that Shoei. I have some other Shoei helmets, like an RF 1200 street helmet. It's super light. I like that too. But since I mainly ride, dual sport or just dirt riding, this and the bell are truly dirt-friendly helmets, whereas the Shoei Hornet X2, I feel, is really geared much more towards the street, or if you're going to ride street out to like a dirt road for a little bit, and then you're at the campground. But if it's the middle of the summer and you're huffing and puffing on the single track, and it's 80, 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, that Shoei is just going to burn you up. It's hot, and it can't help it because it has like a street bike liner, and it doesn't have dirt helmet style venting at all. So I like these two, and I would say definitely I feel safe wearing these. And this, either one of these or the Liat GPX 5.5, I would definitely look at in terms of a dirt helmet. And this one with the visor for dual sporting street and dirt. All right, so some closing thoughts as Archer checks out the helmets here. None of these helmets stink. My preference is not the Shoei Hornet. Yeah, I was wearing it when I crashed. If I would not have had it on, I probably would have fractured my skull or something. So in the sense of, did it protect me? Yep, it did. But it's the wrong helmet for what I like to ride. And really the types of crashes and things that are going to occur most predominantly to me, which are going to be lower speed off-road crashes, where the chance of getting concussion is much higher than the chance of me flying into an automobile at 60 miles an hour. So it's really just the wrong kind of helmet for me. The bell is definitely the value leader here. A lot of helmet for the money. It does have a couple things that are not present in it. Like it doesn't have the emergency tabs on the cheek pads, pulls, a couple of things like that you know, I would like to see on it, but I think it was less than $200 US. And it does have a lot of optional things. I mean, there's even an electric heated visor for it, and there's an optional chin curtain kit that you can completely block the front vent, again, for cold weather riding. That's great. And the 6D, it's expensive, but if you crash in it, you can actually send it back to the guys, and they'll determine if it can be refurbished, and if so, they'll do that and send it back to you. If they can't refurbish it and the helmet's got to be disposed of, they will sell you a replacement helmet at a really significant discount, because they do recognize that, yeah, it's a costly helmet, and you know, guys are going to crash, etc. But you know, again, I think it's a very safe helmet, and talking to the guys there, they're not just out to make a buck. They are really interested in rider safety. So all in, you know, if your purpose of what you're looking for in a helmet is different, the Shoei or like an Arai XD4 might be the better helmet for you if you're more into street riding and things. If you're more into dirt riding, then I would steer you more towards the 6D or the Bell or the Liat GPX. And that's about it. And let's check out Archer. There he is, doing what he does best.